Hello and welcome to another 5 Good Minutes, where I answer your theological questions in 5 minutes or less. Today's question is sure to step on some toes, and I hope it at least will make some of you think a little bit different, even though you may not fully agree with me. The question comes to me, Dan, what do you think of the new hit show, The Chosen? The Chosen, if you don't know, is a new show about the life of Jesus and his disciples. It's gotten some rave reviews for its excellent acting and superb cinematography. What is a biblical approach to understanding a show like The Chosen? What should we know? Well, from the start, let me admit that I've never actually seen a whole episode of The Chosen. But I don't need to even watch an episode to have some biblical discernment about it. Well, first of all, the thing that would greatly trouble me about the show is that it uses great artistic license, meaning it makes Jesus say things he never said and do things that he never did. And the problem and danger of that is that people who are not well understanding will no doubt confuse things that the show says Jesus said that he never said, or do things that he never did. And people will confuse and conflate the two as being one. One example of this is from the season 3 trailer, where Jesus is quoted by saying, "I am the law." Well, the problem with that is, even though it sounds really interesting, is that he never said that. In fact, that is a quote not from the Bible, but from the Book of Mormon. And the Mormons worship a different Jesus than you and I do altogether. What troubles me even more is the violation of the second commandment. You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. God told Israel that they were not to worship him like the pagan peoples of the land. They could not make a statue or an idol or any kind of image and say, this is God. This is what God is like. Because God is unlike anything on the earth. He is glorious and holy and is unable to be fully represented because he's invisible. He has no shape or form or body. However, in Jesus, we do have a full representation of God in human form. This is what Paul tells the Colossians in Colossians 1:15. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. And the Apostle John says the same thing. No one has ever seen God, the only God who is at the Father's hand. He has made him known. So if you want to see God, if you want to have an image of God, then you look at Jesus. And so you're saying, great, well, The Chosen show helps us with that. No, because the actor, the painting, the picture, the sculpture is not Jesus. It's not the real Jesus. All those things are man-made to look like Jesus may have looked like. We don't know how Jesus looked like. Anything we could create today is not the real thing. The only one who can have a holy and pure image of Jesus are people who have walked and talked with him. Anything else that we would do to recreate that would be a violation of the second commandment. You don't have to have a picture of Jesus or a show about Jesus to understand who Jesus is. We're to worship God without these man-made images and creations. You may say, well, these things help me understand Jesus or keep me tuned in. Well, that's the same reason that people gave to God in the Old Testament. They needed to see and to touch or to feel their God. And this is the danger of it. What inevitably happens is when you're worshiping God, even though you're saying, well, I'm not worshiping that actor or I'm not worshiping this picture, but what inevitably happens is that when you're reading your Bible or you're singing a song to Jesus, you have those images that creep up into your head of that actor or that painting that you have in your home. And that is a substitution of a man-made thing in place of the true God. God has told us not to worship him through images. We're to worship him how? Through his word. His word is enough to give us the full picture of everything we need to know about him without laying our eyes on it in this life. And one day, our eyes will feast upon him. One day, when this life is over or when he returns in his glory, we will have a visible look at the real Jesus, and that will be true worship, not man-made. Is read the book. It's always better than the movie. This has been another 5 Good Minutes.